you are country music's other coal miner daughter.
Well, actually, I'm coal miner's granddaughter.
Granddaughter?
Yeah, so it's not really the same.
And that's the basis for your album, Coal. It's
Yes.
all about the coal mining business. And it's an Appalachian record, kind of a bluegrass record, but you had that whole pop set first, the country modern sound. What made you go into that Appalachia?
Well, it's very much my roots, and my whole window onto commercial country music was always an acoustic point of view. I was very heavily influenced by folk and bluegrass. So in many ways, this is sort of scraping the commercial layer off and going back to the way I really got into playing music in the beginning when I was in college.
And this is kind of a tribute record to your roots.
Yeah, what happened was that there was a mine disaster in West Virginia in 2006, the Sago mine disaster, and 13 miners were trapped, and 12 of them were killed. And it took 3 or 4 days to find out if they were alive or dead. And during that that period of time where everybody was holding their breath, I was following the story very closely and realized that I had a list of songs in the back of my mind about coal mining, and that maybe this was the time to make the record that I've been thinking about.
Was it a hard record to make?
It was easy and hard at the same time. I wouldn't say it was hard. It was a lot of work, but mostly just because I really wanted to try to do it justice. So I went searching for songs, and went. Should we wait? Maybe.
I don't know.
There's some distraction in the background. It was get in the way. But I found a whole bunch of songs going all the way back to the 20s. And I also was, a lot of these songs come from a very raw folk tradition. It's people in the mountains just singing about their lives. So there's not really a performance aspect to it. It's a very raw kind of sound. And I wanted to make sure that I could do it justice. And that I wouldn't just sound like, I knew that I couldn't just do it as Kathy Mattea singing these songs. I really had to try to take that away and really have a more, a more raw relationship with the song.
Well, and that's one thing on my notes here I noticed listening to the record. It's a very raw, very real, and kind of innocent vocal deliverance on your part. And two of the songs that struck for me, the Black Lung song, which I heard you did a cappella. There's no music, just yourself. You have a real connection to that song?
Well, the song, it took me 6 months to learn to sing. And Hazel Dickens wrote this song in the 70s about her brother when he died of black lung, and she was just, it was a horrible thing to watch. And so she just poured all of her anguish into this song, and when she does it, it'll raise the hair on the back of your neck. I mean, it is a thing of wonder. It's completely raw and wide open, and I thought, I don't know if I can sing that way. And so it took me, I just had to try to learn, I just had to keep trying to learn the sound and then get into the lyric and learn how to make the sound and then get in the lyric, and at a certain point they sort of came together. But I wasn't sure I was going to be able to pull it off.
It sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
The other song, it's actually one of my favorite Brad Paisley songs. You'll Never Leave Harlan Alive. It's also done by Brad Paisley. It's
many other people as well.
Yes, those are the two versions.
Patty Loveless did a version. Yes. It was written by Daryl Scott.
Right.
And it's basically Daryl's life history, the history of his grandparents in Kentucky. And the interesting thing about that song, and I'm really glad it made it to the record, because it has in there, it talks about people coming in the late 1800s and buying the mineral rights from the locals for a couple of $100s.
Right.
Well, for these people, that was more money than they'd seen in their life.
Right.
But it was nothing for the people from the big cities that were coming in. So even now, today, 100 years later, more than 100 years later, a lot of what's going on in the coal fields is related back to that. There's strip mining going on. It's rampant in parts of West Virginia and Kentucky, and part of the reason that that's able to happen is the mineral rights are not owned by the people who live on the land.
Right. Marty Stewart produced this record.
Yes.
He's great. He does a lot of great stuff. How was it working with him?
It was great. He's got so much knowledge. He's like a walking encyclopedia. So it's easy to trust him. It's easy to trust his guidance. And just the fact that he said yes and sort of gave me his blessing on making this record was a huge relief to me, because I thought if Marty thought it was bad, he would never do it, and so maybe I can do this. He's also just, he has this lovely way of just making everybody feel comfortable, so that it's never a tense moment, even when you can't quite get something you're going for, which isn't very often. He's just very, very good at making everybody feel safe, just safe to try things. And he really helped me to just trust the imperfections, that sometimes what's beautiful about something is that it's not perfect.
And Patty Loveless also sings on the record. I love Patty. Plus, she's done the mountain music. She's from that area too. Is there a personal connection between you two? Is she from West Virginia? Did she live this?
She's from Kentucky. Her dad was a coal miner. And she really has more of that really flat-out traditional Appalachian sound. I come from a more folky kind of background. So it was just having her sing on this. I've known Patty for years, you know, we're contemporaries, and so calling her up and saying, will you sing on this, and having her say yes was so exciting. And the day, she recorded her vocal part in her home studio in Georgia, where she lives, and the day that it came in the FedEx, you know, I've been waiting for it, and I put it in the machine, and I loaded it up, and I listened to it, and it was just a thing of wonder. So I get on the phone and I call Emery, her husband, and I was like, this is amazing! This is just amazing! And he said, yeah, she sort of sounds like a banshee crossed with a Cherokee squaw, but that's kind of how she does it. And I'm like, it's a thing of wonder. I gotta say thanks. He said, oh, she's making the bed. I'll just go up and get it. And she's like, you don't have to use it if you don't like it. And I'm just like, Patty, you know, it's fantastic.